Melissa Fuller with Shape of the City, and I am out in the backyard with Scott Lowry, an animal control officer. Hi. Hi. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Wonderful. All right, so the weather is finally getting nice. People are getting outside, and I'm guessing you're getting a little busier at animal control.
Yeah, in the springtime, we start to see an uptick in calls from citizens as they spend more time outdoors and start to encounter wildlife.
What sort of response do you have for people saying, I've got raccoons, or I have a possum in my backyard, what should I do?
Generally speaking, when we have people call us and say, hey, I've seen an opossum in my backyard, or I've seen a raccoon, the first thing we're going to ask is, does it appear normal? Does it appear sick, or is it healthy? Does it appear like it's just doing its normal thing, or does something seem wrong with it? Typically, if you have a raccoon or an opossum that's healthy, doesn't have anything wrong with it, it's not sick, we're going to ask you to just leave the animal alone, let it go about its business and do its thing. If that animal's sick, then we want to send an officer out to respond and try to capture that animal.
What are some things that might indicate that it's sick?
With raccoons, we see a lot of distemper in raccoons, canine distemper. So what you'll typically see is the raccoon is out in the daytime. They're typically a nocturnal animal, but you'll see them, say, in your backyard. They'll appear intoxicated or drunk. They'll kind of stumble. They may have matting or fluid coming out of their eyes or their nose. That's a pretty good indication that the animal has distemper. They may let you approach it. You may get within several feet of the animal and not get any reaction. That's really odd for a raccoon. Raccoons typically don't want people getting close to them. So when we see that kind of behavior, that tells us there's something wrong with the animal. And so we want to respond and check it out and see what's going on.
Are there things you can do to deter them from coming to your backyard?
You're always going to get possums and raccoons traveling through your yard depending on what part of the city you live in. Some parts of the city have higher concentrations of these animals. But typically, if you want to keep these animals out of your yard, try to remove any food sources. Don't leave dog food out in your yard. Don't leave cat food out. They love those kind of easy snacks. Sometimes they'll eat birdseed if you have birdseed out. I know that's a little bit more difficult to control, but what you don't want to do is leave large amounts of seed out because that's going to attract those animals to your backyard. The good news is they typically only come out at night. They're probably in your yard all the time and you never see them because you're sleeping. It's the odd time that you may run across them. Just let them do their thing and they'll move on.
All right, another common call I've heard is about bats.
Yeah.
So what should people know about bats?
Bats are on everybody's radar screen because everybody knows bats are one of the species in Lincoln and in Nebraska that carries rabies. There's not a high incidence of rabies in bats, but it's still a concern. So people should know that if you see a bat in your house, that's most typically when you're going to see it. Don't touch it. Call us. We'll try to make a determination as to whether or not it's a safety risk to you or your family, and we'll remove the bat.
So if I hear something in my attic or up in the ceiling, what should I do? Should I call you guys right away?
If you hear something in your attic, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's something that animal control needs to respond to. We really only want you to call us if you can actually see that there's an animal in your attic and you know for sure something's up there. We're kind of a quick fix when it comes to animals in the home. So we have officers who are responding to these types of calls during the day from 7 a.m. to 10 at night. And then after 10 o'clock at night, we have on-call officers who respond to emergencies only. We typically only like to come out if we know for sure that you know definitely that you have something in your house. We don't really have the time to come out and look around the house and do a thorough search. So we really just want you to call us if you know for sure you have something.
So bats, for instance, we have a bat box in our backyard. They're also beneficial, correct?
They are, yeah. Bats are great in the summertime because they eat lots and lots of bugs and mosquitoes, which carry West Nile virus. So if you have bats around, that's a good thing. People have kind of been conditioned over time to see bats as a scary thing, and bats aren't scary. Bats are part of our environment, they're a necessary part of our world, and they do a lot of good for us.
So besides having a bat box, what are some things you can do to sort of keep them from getting into your house?
You want to make sure that any opening in your house, and that can be something as small as a quarter, is sealed up. That's all the edges of your roof. Any space in your house that is the size of a quarter or larger, a bat's going to be able to get through, and they're going to come into your house looking for shelter. So you want to make sure that your house is sealed up and that there's no place for them to enter.
I don't know if you guys have gotten calls about it, but little birds like falling from the trees.
Yeah, from the nests. So in the springtime, we get hundreds and hundreds of calls on baby birds. It's extremely time consuming for us to respond to these calls. We don't have a lot of officers working in a particular shift to give us the ability to respond to all these calls. So what we encourage is in the springtime, if you see a baby bird on the ground, keep in mind that mom may have pushed those birds out of the nest and she's trying to teach them to fly. Don't panic if you see a baby bird on the ground. Let mom come and do her thing before you call animal control. If the bird's injured, by all means call us and we'll come out and we'll try to catch the bird and we'll get it to wildlife rescue. Or in some cases, they have to be humanely euthanized. But we really encourage people to just let nature take its course, let the mother birds do their job of being moms, and don't panic.
All right, the other thing that we've seen in our backyard we have a fox. So I've never seen a fox in my backyard before. Is this something that's becoming more common?
Well, we've noticed within the past year or so that the fox population in Lincoln has really skyrocketed. So we have a lot of foxes. It's a cycle. Some years we see a lot of foxes, some years we don't. So we're getting lots of calls on foxes right now. Springtime is when they're having their pups. Typically, animal control isn't going to get involved when it comes to foxes unless they're injured or sick. If you see them in your backyard, enjoy them. They're really cool. They're not going to hurt you or your pets. And just enjoy the experience of having these beautiful creatures in your neighborhood.
And you're saying, should people not worry if they have small pets, or is there something they should keep an eye on? Should be making sure those pets are inside at night? Is there anything like that they should be aware of?
When it comes to foxes, foxes aren't going to prey on your pets. If you have a smaller dog, maybe the size of a Yorkie, you probably want to just keep an eye on it. That's probably just a good precaution when you have any kind of wildlife around your home. But typically foxes aren't going to mess with your dogs. But in any case, you just want to be careful, be cautious.
What do you do when someone calls you and says they have cats on their property that aren't theirs and they think that they may be wild?
So when someone calls us about cats, we really want to come out and take a look at the situation and see what's going on. Sometimes we have neighborhood cats that are just wandering around, but we do have neighborhoods in Lincoln that have high concentrations of feral cats. These can be a nuisance. They can be a real problem. So we want to come out and assess the situation. If we feel that we have a wild cat colony that's kind of started to grow in an area, we can get in touch with some of our partners who do trap, neuter, release work, have them come in and start to work with those populations, or in extreme situations, we'll come out and we'll trap those cats and remove them ourselves. The big thing is we don't want those colonies growing any bigger, and we don't want them becoming a nuisance for the neighborhood. So it's important that an animal control officer comes out and assesses what exactly is going on. And we'll come out and do that for free.
During this time of year, are there any other words of wisdom that you would give people?
Even though we live in a big city like Lincoln, wildlife do very well living in close proximity to people. So you're going to see wildlife. Just because you live in a city doesn't mean that you're never going to see these things. We have all sorts of different wildlife that come through Lincoln on a daily basis. What I'd encourage people to do is just realize that this wildlife is here, learn to live and coexist with the wildlife. Call us when you absolutely think that we need to respond. Something's sick, something's injured, but otherwise, just learn to coexist with wildlife. They're here and they're going to stay.
I feel like I just want to bring my coffee outside and hope for a few animals to show up.
Sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm someone's daughter and I ride because it's so fun. I'm a student and I ride to get to school and hang out with my friends.
I'm a father and a commuter. I bike because it's healthy and it saves on gas.
We're retired and we ride for fun, exercise, and to be with friends.
Good day and welcome to Shape of the City. Today we're at Partnership for Healthy Lincoln with Dr. Bob Rauner and Dr. Adam Rensch. We've heard that Partnership for Healthy Lincoln work with a lot of medical clinics in the areas of cancer screening. Today we're going to talk about HPV vaccinations. To start, we're going to learn a little bit more about Partnership for Healthy Lincoln. Dr. Rauner, could you let us know a little bit more about Partnership for Healthy Lincoln and how this initiative started?
Yeah, so it's kind of an outgrowth of our cancer screening, because obviously that's to prevent cancer or to identify it earlier. That's for the adults, and then we started working with some of the pediatric clinics in town that take care of all our kids. And there's also a cancer vaccine called HPV, where there's a vaccine that your kid can get and will prevent them from getting cervical, some colon cancers, some throat cancers, things like that later in life. And in Lincoln, we have only about half of kids are vaccinated. We really want to get to about 80%. So we put together a group of clinics, all the pediatric providers in town, quite a few safety net clinics got involved, basically trying to get our community's vaccination rates to 80% by 2020.
Perfect. And how long has Partnership for Healthy Lincoln been in operation?
8 years. The cancer project started about 3 years ago, where we started working with clinics, and HPV project is just starting its second year.
Perfect. And Dr. Adam, could you let us know why HPV vaccinations are effective and how effective they are?
Sure. Well, as we know, HPV stands for the human papillomavirus. And so like Dr. Rauner said, it's labeled as a cause of cervical cancer, some throat cancers, some colon cancers. So they've been developing this vaccine series, which has shown to be very effective, actually. The first studies that came out showed just a decrease in 56% of HPV infections alone, and it has about 100% coverage for as far as preventing cancer.
What's the schedule looking like for a person that's going into their teen years, and how do you recommend the vaccine taking place? How many vaccinations are there?
Well, it made a big change last year, and that was partly the reason for the timing. It used to be a 3-shot series that could start anywhere from age 9 up until 26, but they actually found out that if the vaccine was given younger, it was, 1, more effective, and 2, you could only have to do 2 shots. So if you get your first vaccine at 7th grade physical, the other one 6 months later, then you only have to do 2. Whereas if you wait till later, it's 3 shots, and it actually doesn't work as well. So kind of timing with that, we decided let's get everybody together and really focus on getting that first shot by the 7th grade physical. Then any time in the next year or 2, you get the second one and you're done. So it's easier to get, less pain you have to go through because there's only 2 shots instead of 3, and also it works better.
Perfect. And for the parents out there, is there any cost? Are there any recommended clinics in town that they can go? What would be the process as a parent?
Well, next time you bring your child in for just a well child or a standard physical, it's a preventable care vaccine, so there's usually no cost as far as insurance. Most clinics around Lincoln will have it readily available, and it shouldn't be too much of an issue. It's just like any other standard vaccine you can get during the preventative school physicals. And like Dr. Rauner said, you kind of only have to get it twice if you start early enough.
For those parents that are more curious about HPV vaccinations, is there somewhere online or anywhere that parents can do some more research before they take their kids to take these vaccinations?
Yeah, the easiest place is cdc.gov, which is Centers for Disease Control.gov, meaning it's a government website. Basically, that's what doctors turn to for all infectious disease things, whether it's travel, health, or something. So that's where we get our actual vaccination information sheets from. Or you can go to the American Academy of Pediatrics website, American Academy of Family Physicians, very similar information.
Anything else you guys would like to add?
Sure. Just say that it's a great vaccine, highly recommend it, and just talk to your pediatrician or primary care provider.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay.
What if you could add 5 years to your child's life and make your whole family healthier with simple changes? Partnership for Healthy Lincoln wants to help you and your family live longer, healthier lives. It's easier than you think. Take the dog for a walk, play more and text a little less. Swap out a soda for water once a day. Keep fruits and veggies handy for snacking. For more ideas, visit healthylincoln.org.
Today I'm with NICOLE ENGELBART, and she is the supervisor for WIC through Lincoln Lancaster County Health Department, correct?
Yes.
All right, so today we're going to learn a little bit about what WIC is doing to help mothers in the community. Can we start a little bit about, for the viewers who may not know what WIC is?
Sure. So WIC is a supplemental nutrition program. What we do is provide nutrition education, counseling, breastfeeding support, wholesome foods, and referrals. So to dive a little deeper there, with nutrition education, we help moms, with toddlers. They may be a little picky with foods at times, so we help them with some tips and tricks to help get those veggies into those toddlers. For breastfeeding education, we have a kind of a set curriculum that we follow to help moms just get the information that they need in order to make the decision that's best for them. Referrals for the community, we do a lot of referrals for dental homes, physicians, immunizations, anything that the parents are needing. We try to help provide them with those resources. And then for wholesome foods, we provide low-fat dairy products, fruits and vegetables, iron-fortified infant foods, lean protein sources. We have a wide variety of foods that we offer.
Let's talk about who's eligible for WIC. Who are the people that can come and sign up?
Sure. So WIC in itself stands for Women, Infants, and Children. So pregnant women, postpartum women, breastfeeding women are all eligible for the program. Infants up to age 1, and then children ages 1 to 5. If there are single fathers or grandparents who have custody of children or foster parents, they would all qualify as well if they have children in the household under the age of 5.
Tell us a little bit about this location, what it's doing now and what it will be doing in the future.
This is our satellite location at 27th and Cornhusker Highway, right next to Super Saver. And this location is actually going to be hosting a breastfeeding pump clinic here come summer. So starting in June, we'll be hosting a breastfeeding pump clinic in collaboration with MilkWorks. We'll be providing breast pumps for moms who are 36 weeks along or later, or newly delivered mothers.
And what all will happen actually at this location?
So at this location, moms will actually be able to come in for their scheduled visit. They'll be able to meet with a dietitian and lactation consultant to receive some extra breastfeeding support, get their WIC benefits, and then they'll also be able, with a prescription from their doctor, be able to actually take home a breast pump and have some education on how that pump works. We'll have a few options so families can pick out the one that they will work best for them.
How important is a location or a WIC support for breastfeeding mothers especially?
Sure. So support is huge when it comes to breastfeeding. Having that support system in place is very important. So WIC is trying to provide some of that support for our moms. We're meeting with families, every few months during their pregnancy, right after baby's born, within a month after baby's born, to help them have, someone there that they can talk to with if they need breastfeeding help. Mothers are also a good source. So if you have a mom that's breastfed, or a sister or friends that have breastfed, going to them with questions and concerns can also be very beneficial. But having support for a breastfeeding mom is definitely huge in the success of their breastfeeding.
What sort of feedback have you had from mothers so far in terms of the support that you guys have given?
Sure. So with our new breastfeeding curriculum that the state WIC office has provided us, we've actually seen our breastfeeding numbers increase. We've had moms specifically come back and talk to some of my dietitian and lactation consultants saying, you're the reason that I breastfed as long as I did, or you're the reason that I kept going. So that's great to hear. At this location in particular, we've seen our exclusive breastfeeding rates actually double in about the last 10 months or so. So that's also a huge success that we can attribute to kind of a set curriculum, set standards that we're talking with all moms about, so they're receiving the same education at every visit.
And I know that there's probably numerous answers for this, but what are some of the key things that you explain to moms for the benefits of breastfeeding?
We talk about benefits for babies and that there's also benefits for moms. So some of those benefits for the babies, studies have shown that there's decreased risk of ear infections, decreased tummy issues. A lot of babies will have maybe constipation. Breast milk is kind of a natural laxative, so it can help kind of keep everything going for babies. And it also helps moms help lose that baby weight. It takes a lot of extra calories to make that breast milk and maintain that breast milk. supply, so it helps moms lose that baby weight. It can actually help decrease certain kinds of cancers for mom too. So breast cancer, cervical cancer as well. So the longer mom's breastfeeding, the more protective benefits basically that she's having. So there's benefits for both mom and baby.
So for our viewers, if they're interested in getting more information about this clinic or other WIC services, where should they go?
So there's a few different ways they can do that. Giving us a phone call, we can provide some intake information over the phone, so 402-441-6200. They can also go online, lincoln.ne.gov, keyword WIC, W-I-C, or they can stop at either of our locations. So 27th and Cornhusker Highway right next to that Super Saver, or 33rd and O.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you for everything that's going on here.
Yes, you're very welcome.
Shape of the City is dedicated to keeping Lincoln informed of health and wellness programs and events. Visit our calendar at lincoln.ne.gov, keyword Wellness Calendar. If you'd like to see your program or event covered, email us at LNKTV Health at lincoln.ne.gov.
Until next time, stay active, get healthy, keep informed.